Nigerians deserve everything that they are getting now. Na me talk am. Una know why? Because a man came and all what he said was bala blue 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 bulaba. Nothing. Una say na him be the Messiah. Emiloko. It's my turn. Another man came with a message of hope. He talk. He addressing government as he want make a government go. He tell us what be the problem of this country. Even person who no go school go understand am. Say, now the problem now him be this. But we say no. Why? Because he is coming from a region of the country that they believe will never rule over this country. Now everybody is crying, and that region that man is coming from, they are all chillaxing, drinking their bottle. If see, make I tell you, if they say beer 1,000 naira today, Igbo people go drink beer, nothing go happen. Oh, now they hear me. Ask yourself, why not everybody they cry? You don't hear say they do any protest inside Igbo land, say this government no good. You don't hear them. You don't go ever hear them. Because why? That tribe presented the best to Nigeria, and Nigeria rejected it. They said no, we want Emiloko, we want bala blue 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 bulaba, and they got it. Now everybody is crying, and you want that region to join you and cry. You will never see. Make I tell you now, I won't play you one video. If you watch that video finish, you will not tell me that Nigerians are not stupid. We are with our senses. I want to play you that video. The man from the east, from the southeast, waiting him as in the town hall where him get before that presidential election of 25th February 2022. Look, now watch him. You don't go sit down, watch him. When you watch and finish, then you tell me whether this cry, where people they cry now, whether it's justified or not. You watch the video. Come and tell me what you think in the comment section. If they tell me, another move from the southeast is talking, I will oblige you. Of course, I am a mumu. Watch this video, my friend.
Comment is to plead with all of you. The country you used to know, the country you are part of building, is no longer there. There's nothing today. If Nigeria, and I said, gets it wrong in 2023, because 2023 is to enable Nigeria to start rebuilding again. If they get it wrong, I can assure you that it will not take time for some of you who will still be there at that time to be refugees somewhere. Today, go and look at the list of fragile failing states. Nigeria is on top of it. Today, go and look at the list of terrorized nations. Nigeria is number 3. We are now ranked the same place as Afghanistan and Yemen. Today, we are the capital of poverty. We have been since 2019. What is worse in it is that Nigeria have more people living in poverty than the 2 biggest countries of the world combined. China and India combined is 2.8 billion. Nigeria is 200 million. So we're not even to 10% of these 2 countries combined, but we have more people living in poverty than both of them combined. Today we have 50 million children out of school. And not out of school. 60 to 70% of them have never been to school at all. So they're not out of school. They've never even experienced it, talk less of coming out of it. Your country's stress level, this country is now the most stressful place for people to live in. Go and check the stress level index. Our misery level have gone down so low. We have the highest unemployment rate because we have been comparing with South Africa, but I'll show you how South Africa is less. We have 33% unemployment. When you include underemployment, you have 55%, out of which 60% of these are young people in their productive age doing nothing. At the age they are supposed to be the engine of production, they're not doing anything. They've left school. Some of them didn't go to school, but they have nothing doing. So you have millions of them all over the place. We've just overtaken India in infant mortality. They expected we would overtake them in 2024, but we've overtaken them by first quarter. The list is endless. In drug prevalence now, the global rate is 5.8. Nigeria is 14.9. And it's 70% more among the young ones. That is where your country is. Your death level is totally unacceptable. I was speaking to the Senate yesterday, and they showed me a young man, they showed me a senator, distinguished senator, who is the chairman of approving the loans in which Nigeria, all the loans that they are borrowing. And I said to him, thank you for approving it. But let me tell you, all the loans people have approved have put us in a mess. Today, we're using 98% of our revenue to service debt. And I can tell you by end of this year, it will be 100 and something % of our revenue. The first 5 months of last year, Nigeria generated as a revenue 1,847 billion. And they used 1,802 billion to service debt. 98%. It was remaining only 45 billion. Last year, our budget was 13 point something trillion, and they said they are going to borrow 4 trillion. They ended up borrowing 6.7 trillion because they couldn't make it. This year, our budget is 17 trillion. And they said they are going to borrow only 7. They are going to generate 10. They are not going to generate 15, even 50% of that. So we are going to borrow about 8 this year, and we are going to service all those debts. It is not possible. There's no way a country can survive with that level of debt. And every day what you hear from government is that we don't have a borrowing problem, we have a revenue problem. You don't have a revenue problem. Revenue comes from production. The country is not productive. It's consumption. When you have millions of people unemployed, how can you generate revenue? You're not doing anything. People in your villages can't pay tax. They can't pay for anything because they're not doing anything. You need them to do something to be able to generate this thing. We have engine of production and employment, which is micro, small, medium businesses suffering in Nigeria. And nobody wants to do anything. And what people will tell you is that they give examples of, I've traveled to countries all over the world. No country operates like Nigeria. I've been to about 30 countries studying what is happening in Nigeria. And I spent time. I've been from China to India to everywhere. I just came back last week from Morocco. I was in Morocco. I went to Morocco on Sunday and was there for almost 1 week. Traveled all over Morocco, spoke to their government officials. Nobody runs the way Nigeria runs. They have debt. Borrowing is not a problem. Every country in the world borrows. Even Norway, with the greatest sovereign wealth fund of 1.4 trillion, they are owing 50% of their GDP. It is what you use the money that makes a difference. And I'll give you an example of using everywhere I've gone today and tomorrow. I can show other places. I was in Bangladesh. I don't want to use small countries. I was in Bangladesh in 2010, and I spent 1 week in the villages of Bangladesh. Bangladesh was far poorer than Nigeria. In the year 2000, they were below us in HDI. Today, with their medium, we are still struggling in the poor circle. In Bangladesh, I met people. In fact, arriving at Bangladesh airport, you will not eat. It was so dirty, it was everything. I wondered, where is this place? As at that time, Bangladesh had a GDP of $115 billion with a per capita of about $700 each. That was 2010. Nigeria GDP was $375 billion. Our per capita was $2,250. in 2010. And our debts then, in 2010, because you in PDP have helped to clear all our foreign debts, our debts was brought down then to where we were owing just about 5% of our GDP. So we were owing less than $10 billion. Equivalent then. Or call it about equivalent to about 20 because of the rate of exchange then. 20 or even 25. That was what we were owing then. Today, Bangladesh GDP is $335 billion with a per capita of 2,050. So they've done 3 times what their per capita was in 2010. Nigerian GDP is 400. Our per capita had come down to 200. We lost below over 10% of what we were in 2010. Our debt have increased from about 25, 30 billion to $100 billion. So that money borrowed did not yield or put into production. It made no contribution to our GDP, to our per capita, to everything. It was thrown away. And we're a nation. And nobody cares. Nobody bothers and says, okay, we're moving. This is how it's been in every country. We are not the first country that have poverty problem. China in 1990 had 98% of their people living under poverty. Today, China have less than 2% living under poverty. In fact, in from 2000 to 2015, China pulled 435 million people out of poverty. In 1990, Vietnam have 97% of their population living under poverty. Today they have 1.6 living under poverty. So is Bangladesh. Everybody is pulling their people out of poverty. Even in Africa, in countries like Egypt. Egypt with 100 million people now have more diaspora remittances than Nigeria. Because if you go around now, they've invested in education, they've invested in anything. In the Egypt HDI in the next 1 or 2 years will be high. Nigeria is still low. We started with them in year 2000, low. They've now gone to medium, and now moving to high. Everybody we've met, Ghana was low, they now moved to medium. Bangladesh have moved to medium. Everybody, we are the only people who are stuck in low. And we are now receding in low. Because nobody cares. My plea to you this evening is, please, do not bequeath your grandchildren anarchy. That's where we're going. It's not about the election. It's not about who will be the next president. No, it's not about who will be able to be in position to be using siren. It's not about who will be able to share. There's nothing to share again. It's finished. We need wealth creators. Now, we need somebody that can create wealth. Everything that is left in that pot is gone. It is not a time for rascality. It is not a time for careless talk. We need somebody that can understand how to build an intangible and tangible assets of a nation building. Who has connection globally that can stand and speak to colleagues and plead with them to come and save Nigeria. Or we will be refugees. None of you can wash plates outside here. None of you can sweep anything. Your drivers can. Imagine what it is now if you live here and you get to another country and the only job left is to wash plates. How can you do it? You cannot. You want to go in peace. Most of you at the departure lunch, you want to go in peace. You don't want to go crying. And that is critical for you. It's critical for us. I get up every morning and I wonder what is happening here. Yes, people now, everybody is telling you, we will do this, we will do this. Please, I'm begging, let us check. All those that are going to come and talk to our party, they want to be this, let us check their background. Where are they coming from? What have they done in their life? Who are they? It's easier I got to tell people, it's easier to grandstand and say things you cannot do or what you cannot do. My name is Peter Obi. I'm a trader. That's all I've done in my life. Forget about how Okupe described me. I'm a businessman who have been a private businessman in Nigeria, have made success of the business, and understands how to solve the problem that it will make private sector drive the process today. I know how your country can start turning around by creating revenue and ensuring that small businesses get money in order to do business, in order to create jobs. I know how much how to direct the banks, do the right thing. Our ports today don't work. I drove from over 300 kilometers, or about that, from Rabat to Tangier airport port in Morocco to see how their port works. Because I cannot see how Morocco, with less than about 1/7 of Nigerian population, can have the biggest port in Africa that does 3 times the cargo of Nigeria. 3 times, all our ports put together. And I went there, and I said I was working. Morocco exported, last year's export was $40-something billion without having oil. We're earning $18 billion in oil. And they even tell us that 98% of it is stolen. We're stealing it. What are we talking here? And we have a country. Look at what is happening to everywhere in the north today. Do we still have a country where we have people who have kidnapped people in Nigeria, taking them somewhere and are calling by phone in this age of technology, and you can't do anything to them? Do we have a country? There's something wrong. It just shows that people don't want to make a decision. I have been a governor of a state where there's crisis, and I can make elders in that state are here. We solved it overnight. We have a country. The first ingredients of a failing state is when the government is no longer in control of its territory. We are no longer in control of here. We're talking about food. Morocco, with a quarter of a third or half, let me call half, of our land space, exported agricultural materials of over $8 billion last year. I was telling Chief Servant when we went to Niger State, I said, how can we have Niger State with 76,000 square kilometers of land? And we're talking about food. Netherlands, with 33,000 square kilometers, if we include water, 42.6 thousand square meters, was able to export 120-something billion worth of agricultural materials. What are we doing? How can we get this country to work? Just because we have leaders who don't have the capacity, don't have the competence, who wants to waste everybody's time and run around creating nothing. My dear fathers, my dear mothers, let's create a future for this country. What we are going through now will take its revenge on your grandchildren. Thank you, and God bless you.
Imagine a country where its citizens get to enjoy the road without this. Imagine a country where unprecedented fuel scarcity does not cause panic at the filling station. That is why Innocent Vehicles has embarked on manufacturing environmental-friendly gas-powered cars while still offering comfort, luxury, and doggedness for the African roads. Innocent Vehicles, the pride of African roads.